We have Kyle Tomak from Hensel Phelps come up. Again, I won't introduce Kyle, he'll do a good job for himself. But for those who don't know, Hensel Phelps is an incredibly impressive business and interested to see what you have.
Thank you. Cool. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here today on behalf of Hensel Phelps, but also for cmBuilder. I'm really excited to share this space with like-minded individuals who are just as passionate about this as I am. It makes me feel a little bit more at home knowing this room is full of VDC. Thanks, dude. Appreciate it. Yeah, we're all passionate about logistics and phasing and telling that story. There's something to be said about effective communication and being able to have your audience, resonate with the message you're trying to send. What good is having the best plan if your audience is not comprehending what's in your head, right? And there's two phrases that I often use at Hensel Phelps, one more eloquent than the other. What I always say if you work with me is, if a technology solely lives with me, it's not a good technology. And maybe the more eloquent one is, plan the work, work the plan. We say that all the time at Hensel Phelps. And I think cmBuilder checks both those boxes for us, right? Okay, so really briefly, I'm gonna try and squeeze it in 30 minutes. I probably made too many slides, but do some brief introductions, introduce you to myself, and my story, how I ended up kind of where I'm at today, introduce you to Hensel Phelps, what we're all about, where we operate, the size of our business. I want to talk about where we were a year ago today, the cmBuilder for the win, kind of the backstory of how we ended up with cmBuilder. Currently I am a VDC Manager at Hensel Phelps, but I want to talk about my new role that I kind of absorbed or started to do in January of this year. So 7 months into that new role, I want to talk about that and how it has played a pivotal role into scaling cmBuilder. Now, when you're scaling a new software, Ben alluded to it in his presentation, there's going to be challenges and roadblocks to scaling a new software, especially at a big business. I won't dive too much into this because I know there's a whole panel later on today talking about challenges with scaling, but I want to touch on it. Again, we're a very new user to cmBuilder. We've only been in the platform for 8 months, but I want to show you where we're at today and where we'll be going in the future. And then a part of that is the project highlights, just to kind of show the different use cases of how we've been using cmBuilder in the past 8 months. So for me, again, my name is Kyle Tomak, VDC Manager based out of the SoCal region of Hensel Phelps. I've also worked in other regions of Hensel Phelps, some time in Arizona, a couple of years overseas on a job over there as well. In my spare time, I like to get very far away from technology, so maybe I fit in really great here in Vancouver, so I don't know. You'll find me camping, hiking, off-roading, or you'll find me, watching a YouTube video and getting the confidence that I can go build something in my garage. I'm a textbook case of I'll DIY it and then spend twice as much to buy the tools to DIY it, so that's what I like to do. In the middle there, that's my wife, Jess. We just got married. I literally just got home from our honeymoon, so it's a little shot from Switzerland there, so if the rest of this presentation goes bad, we can blame it on the jet lag. My wife, Jess, interesting enough, she is a speech-language pathologist who specializes in augmentative and assistive communication. So she's on the tech side of speech, and I am on the tech side of construction, so we just kind of nerd out at home, I guess. There's my dogs, Kobe and Kevin, they're absolute monsters. A little bit about Hensel Phelps is we are a large general contractor that does work throughout the United States and also Guam as well. Founded in 1937, so we're creeping up on that 100-year mark, and it's really important to us to actually hit that 100-year mark. I think it's like only 1% of companies make it to that point, so it's a big goal of ours for 2037. A lot of focus there. We are comprised of 3 business units. We have our development sector, our construction sector, which I'm a part of, and then Hensel Phelps Services. So if you kind of pay attention to our logo, you'll see plan, build, manage, and that directly correlates to our 3 business units. So in an ideal world, we would help you purchase the land, develop the project, build the building, and then later on we'd come back and help you service that building with our facilities, our services department. So where we are today, there's 9 regions listed here on the map, but we actually have 11 We're growing constantly. We just landed our first job in Ohio, which is actually where I'm from Cleveland. So that's not even up there yet, and we're doing work in Nashville now. Almost 3,000 salaried staff, and since we are a self-performed contractor for concrete, we have 1,000 craft laborers as well, so a really big workforce across the United States. At any given time, we're probably tackling anywhere between 200 and 300 projects across the country. So pretty large footprint. If you know anything about Hensel Phelps, airports, hospitals are pretty much our bread and butter, and we tackle all sorts of commercial scale projects. So going back to a year ago, this is actually a slide from a presentation I gave to our executive management here in SoCal. Does anybody watch Shark Tank? Yeah, a few, right. So we had our own internal Shark Tank at Hensel Phelps where I got in front of our leadership with a bunch of my wacky ideas. But one of those, and this is before I knew anything about cmBuilder, and the title of my slide was Elevated Phasing and Site Logistics. So what we're seeing on the screen is a bunch of visuals that were produced during procurement time. You know, whether it was Lumion, Twinmotion, Fuser, SketchUp, whatever, we use them all, right? We produce these awesome visuals during procurement, and what really rubbed me the wrong way is we put this in front of the owner, and we're telling a very compelling story, we're showing a very highly polished visual, but then, Ben, like you were talking about, you get into construction and you go back to using PDFs, you're using these fancy colored rectangles, and it feels like we're pulling the rug out from people, but we're showing them this awesome visual and then going back to this. And it really made me mad. I was like, we can do better. We owe it to ourselves, and we also owe it to our clients to have a little bit more of a consistent deliverable, and we need to tell a better story about logistics and phasing. Pardon me? Can't talk? So that's kind of how we naturally came upon cmBuilder. Because it's that one-stop shop, we're able to put all of our information into cmBuilder. And it kind of doesn't matter what we have. Do we only have a napkin sketch, a marked up PDF? We can go make it 3D. We can go make it that high-end visual that we're trying to achieve. Or do we have an authoring model in Revit, in CAD, in Navis, in 3ds Max? You know, we're leveraging our data in Drone Deploy or Propeller, our drone solutions. So it's really just about not stringing together complicated workflows of software to get to your end goal. It's about taking your authoring software that exists in these platforms and just pushing it into cmBuilder. So that's why it's such a natural fit for us, because I'm not trying to train somebody how to use this and then use that and then use this. Like, it's just put it all here, right? And that kind of allows us to scale. That's kind of what I'm trying to tell today. So with me, like I said, I'm a VDC manager at Hensel Phelps, and typically maybe some of you in this room kind of share the same workflow, where a VDC manager traditionally is tied to a job site or multiple job sites, overseeing technology implementation, clash detection, BIM coordination, just technology use on the job site. And in January, we kind of took a good hard look at ourselves with our current workforce in SoCal and said, we need to be a little bit more specialized. We need to ensure we're getting the most out of our model content. So I got pulled off of all of my LAX jobs, some of the hospitals I was put on, and I was given free reign to touch every SoCal job, which has been really exciting. So on my day-to-day, I am heavily involved in site logistics and phasing, like Ben was saying, empowering our superintendents to use cmBuilder. Probably something I'm more involved in is augmented reality. I think that's going to be a huge thing here in the future. So you can see here in the center of the screen some of our site utilities models that we're using for the right to excavate process, using LiDAR to go capture. Same thing in the interior, using augmented reality to go do quality control for different types of inspections, and then trying to leverage robotics to go use our model content to kind of automate some of those repetitive tasks that we have to go do, whether it's reality capture or layout based, trying to get into the robotics game as well. The point, or one of the things that I like to hit home on this slide here is this phrase down here: BIM is the tool, like LOD is the language and VDC is the process. Too often do I see people get these concepts confused, right? They'll say just BIM it. And while I get what we're trying to say when we say that, what level of development is that BIM model, right? And it kind of dictates what process you can go do with it. Is it developed enough to go do a quantity takeoff? Or is it just a massing where you can go do very generic phasing or just stuff like that? So it really just depends what type of model that you have. So I really try to hit that point home, and I think it educates people to understand what you can do with BIM content. So, again, won't touch on this slide too much, but with scaling any new software, you're going to have your challenges, right? We're a very large entity. We have a lot of enterprise solutions that kind of clash against cmBuilder, right? We've used them all, and we're using them all, right? So there are existing solutions we have to go up against, and that's totally fine. I'm down to use whatever the superintendent and the field staff want to use, and that's slowly becoming cmBuilder, as I'll show in the next slide. But with that, and with tech, how tech is going today, there is software fatigue, right? You go from job site to job site to job site, and if you're having to learn a new software every single time, you're going to be burnt out a little bit. So I take a lot of pride in only putting software in front of our teams that I think is going to move the needle, right? To prevent that fatigue, right? It also depends, where is that job on its life cycle? Is it in warranty and closeout? It doesn't really make sense to use cmBuilder at that point. Is it pre-con and procurement? Absolutely. So with my new role, I kind of fall under the regional support bucket, where it's my responsibility to create the job site level champions. My project superintendents, general superintendents, area superintendents, field engineers, like that's my main goal now, is to train the job site level folks. I often find myself getting involved with corporate, that we were sharing information. I feel like we do a really good job at that. I know we just talked about training and support. I do a lot of the training, but then I also say, book an onboarding session with Paige or Cal. And I'm sure I burden you guys a lot, but you guys have been nothing short of amazing, so I really do appreciate all the support. It's unparalleled. So, again, 8 months we've only been in the platform, and within 8 months we have 109 projects within cmBuilder. If you're paying attention earlier, like I said, we're actively on 200 to 300 projects at a time. Depends what you consider active. Again, some might be more closer to closeout. But to have 109 in 8 months is huge for me. And we're kind of getting out of that bid phase as well. We're using it to communicate construction on a daily basis, which is really exciting to me. So we're kind of not getting away from procurement and pre-con, but using it in the construction as well. So that's why you see that 28 right there. I'm super proud of this. In 8 months, we've developed 11 different teams, which directly correlate to our multiple business units at Hensel Phelps. But with that, we've trained over 190, almost 200 users in the cmBuilder platform. So you probably do an onboarding session every day. So it's greatly appreciated. I do my best to train our staff. I do my best to have our champions train other folks, right? And then having 109 projects as examples is really great. So you say, oh, we did this on this job, so you can go open it up and show somebody it, right? So with my new role, we have most of our users in SoCal. We have 79 users in SoCal, and it's some VDC folks, but it's all field staff for the most part. So that's telling me it's scaling in the right way, getting it into the right people's hands. So that's kind of been our 8-month journey in ramping up both projects and personnel within the cmBuilder platform. So finally getting to actually looking at cmBuilder, one of the primary use cases is procurement, right? Like actually winning work. So this project right here is on the UCR campus in Riverside, and we had a ton of lessons learned on this one. Like I actually really messed this one up. My first job in cmBuilder, I was bringing in super heavy Navis models, Revit content that didn't need to be there, using the Blossom plugin, way too much Google context. Like I really didn't do it right. I brought in way too many points from Propeller to go build a custom terrain. But with all that, it still functioned very, very well, but a lot of lessons learned here. And unfortunately, we didn't win this job, which is fine, but we learned a whole heck of a lot about cmBuilder. We realized that we can go leverage our drone data. We can go build those custom terrains to match the topography of our projects, which ultimately becomes very important when you have a lot of elevation change. you're trying to go tell that story. You guys probably know on the cmBuilder side, you probably know Rich DeLacy at this point. And he definitely opened my eyes, but he was telling me, this is an amazing software. He's like, I probably put in 100 resource requests and have all these custom models being built for us, and he's gone absolutely nuts with it. But he's like my biggest supporter in pushing it to the other field staff at Hensel Phelps. So this is where it definitely opened our eyes and realized the potential of cmBuilder. So we took all those lessons learned here on this particular pursuit on the UCR campus, and we rolled it into our next pursuit just a mile down the street at UCR. So I built it the right way. It wasn't too fat, it wasn't too heavy, it was streamlined, it worked really well. I set up the environment, I trained the area superintendent. The area superintendent ran with it. And then this was our second time we've ever used cmBuilder, and we actually looped in our reality capture team, which is based out of Phoenix. So they're responsible for all the high-end renderings that we do, our 3D print farm that we have, that's what they do. So they actually built this very, very large model, contextual model. So this is the Google Earth content, and then this is like a even bigger contextual model that covers pretty much all of Riverside. And we're just pushing the software until it kind of broke. But it's really cool for me, so now the owner actually gets to see the big mountain range that's in the background. So it becomes very hyper-realistic and very relatable for what we're trying to tell. And this is a progressive design build job, so we don't even have a design yet. But all we do have is how we're going to go demo what's currently there so we can go design it together. So we actually had our reality capture team model in some buildings. We had them have the jagged edge on the slab, which really shows that this isn't demo, right? It's just these little details that we've been able to incorporate that tells a much better story. So again, we were successful in this one, we won that job, and as we progress through design, cmBuilder will be a major part of it. One thing I wanted to touch on, which I thought was really awesome, is I'm seeing safety being incorporated across the board at Hensel Phelps within cmBuilder. And this was our first project we ever did, and Rich was out there putting tie-off points, he's putting material lay down, he's got cut stations, he's got a full lay-down yard over here, he's got heat shelters and all sorts of stuff that I never really would have thought about. And the one thing I wanted to highlight specifically is when we think about zones inside of cmBuilder, we're thinking about those rectangles projected on the terrain. So well, let's flip it 90. So you put a zone vertically and created that line in the sand, that vertical no-fly zone. Again, communicating to our owner, our tower crane is not going to go over pedestrians. So it's a really unique use case of a zone that would otherwise remain horizontal, flipped it on its axis. So I thought that was really cool. One of the things that I'll admit, we're not using this a whole heck of a bunch, but we're starting to. We're starting to see the power of it. This is an active procurement that we're going after in Los Angeles right now. It is a school that we're going after. And if you're familiar with any active campus, including a school, what you kind of don't realize is how phased these jobs are, right? You have to go where the students aren't. You have to build temporary facilities to move the students out so you can get in and do the work. But what comes with that are constant changes in the fencing plan, in your barricade plan, and I think this is a super powerful use case for, It's a super powerful use case of cmBuilder to be able to extract these quantities per phase so we can buy out our fencing trade appropriately. What we don't want to do is buy out this trade and then become a change order contractor later and just issuing blind change orders to our trade partners. So being able to back check and buy out our trades appropriately during procurement is a huge deal. Get it right the first time so we're not paying for it later. So moving away from Los Angeles, going back down to San Diego, again, just generic job site planning and logistics. I got a call from a project superintendent saying, hey, I heard about this software cmBuilder. It's on Tuesday, mind you. I heard about this software cmBuilder and I got your email, you're the guy. I've never been working with this guy before. He's like, I have a meeting on Thursday and I want to visualize a bad idea. I was like, I'm sorry, what? Because usually when we talk about going through the effort of visualizing something, we want to visualize a good plan. We want to visualize a good idea. But he thought it would be so impactful to visualize why this wouldn't work. The owner was so tied to this concept of routing pedestrians, construction deliveries, and vehicular traffic all through this pinch point on site was going to be a logistical nightmare and just frankly a safety concern for this project as we get going. You have all this traffic going east and west. We have facilities maintenance down here. We have our job site office down here. We have our construction entrance right here for the project. This is a terrible, terrible point. And this was a bad design. They're really married to it though. So we went through the effort. It took me a day to spin this up, and we used it for our meeting. They both agreed, okay, maybe this isn't in our best case to go this route. But the beauty of cmBuilder, because we have this scenario spun up, we're able to duplicate it and then work together to come up with a better solution, to move folks away from this congested area, to allow our construction traffic to come in and have pedestrians be further away from the project. So yeah, it did take a day to go spin up that bad scenario, but now we have a test bed where we can go work collaboratively together with our owner, and really, that's all you want. You want to be able to collaborate with whoever you're working with and come up with solutions together. It's not like we came to the table and said, this is how we're doing it. We came to a consensus together, which is really cool. So moving away from San Diego, back up to Torrance. This is Harbor UCLA Medical Center. It's a $2 billion complete revamp of the entire hospital campus. You know, other GCs are included in that. But a big part of our selling point in winning this job was turning over the outpatient building 6 months early. We knew we could do it from a construction standpoint, but we obviously have to have the owners buy-in about how we're going to go operate on their active campus, a very busy public hospital. So it's all about selling a concept. So I hope this plays. Okay, so the other interesting thing about this is we have 30 different people inside of cmBuilder on this one job because we've broken it up into like 7 separate projects. So each building is its own project. So we have a big master scenario that encompasses everything, but then we also have all these smaller projects for those FEs, area superintendents, to go in and figure out their work. So the cool thing about this is you can see that we're trying to show, here's how pedestrians, doctors, nurses, that's why we asked for the custom resources for doctors and nurses. How do they get from our new parking structure to the existing hospital around this active construction? So again, trying to sell a concept, sell an idea of what these individuals are going to experience after they park their car and they're going to like maybe the worst day of their life. Trying to show the owner that we're thinking of it, right? So I thought this was really great, and again, a lot of users on this project, which is both challenging but also really fun. I hate to break it to anybody who knows LAX. You thought it was bad now. There's another terminal coming. If you're familiar with this lot right here, this is the Uber and Lyft lot right now, and then the big Lawa parking lot, and Lawa is the entity that owns all of LAX. So again, a use case here is phasing, right? If you know anything about airport work, it's about moving people out of one area into another so you go perform the work. So it's a huge phasing nightmare, and we use this specific example here to go show a very high level phasing of what this project is going to be. Because a lot of stuff is out of our control, we use this phasing to cross-reference with the other enabling GCs to figure out if there's going to be phasing constraints. So like I said before, there's a lot of stuff in this area that has to get out of there so we can come in and do the work. So we're able to phase out the entire job, cross-reference it with the other phasing plans from the enabling scopes. So I'm really excited for this job to kick off. It's a little bit delayed because of some of the road work and stuff that has to happen, but yeah, LAX is going to be under construction forever. And then I really love this one. This is actually our UCSF Pratt facility up in San Francisco. I onboarded 2 field engineers and a VDC intern a few months ago, and then I kind of just walked away from that. Like I didn't really had no upkeep. I just kind of let them go crazy. Obviously, they had the support of cmBuilder and their staff, but I checked back in when I was creating this presentation. I was like, holy shit, like you guys went crazy with this. Animations everywhere. It's literally dug into the side of a mountain, the side of a hill, which is a big challenge to represent it in a very accurate way. But they were able to really tell a valuable story for logistics, even when the project was built into the side of a hill. So very proud of what the team is doing here. Really excited to see them continue to populate this. I'm only including very small snippets of what we've done, but very impressive. given that I only did an onboarding session with them, and where they're at today is really, really cool. We tend to cater to our clients and who we work for, what they expect. So this is Kaiser Riverside, obviously in Riverside, California. And for the past couple of years, we've been doing little PDF A3 4-week schedule look-aheads to them. And it would be comprised of actual screenshots or actual pictures, BIM models, Gantt charts. So one of the things we've been working with, Shane, I see you back there. One of the things we've been working with cmBuilder is trying to keep our same format, but then use content from cmBuilder to populate this, which we give to our trade partners, to the owner, to go communicate, hey, here's what the next month is gonna look like. So we have the job fully built out in cmBuilder, and we're trying to kind of merge the two worlds together, something that we've already been doing for years, but then also using this new platform and then merging the two together. So that's been very exciting, and I'm eager to see where this kind of goes as we work together to develop this new module. And last but not least, something I'm calling self-logistics. Every year we do kind of like a State of the Union at our regional office in Irvine, and we bring 600 employees and their families to the building. We have a full day of activities, and I got to thinking, like, if I'm saying this is a good software for logistics for construction projects, why are we not using it to plan our own parties? So we built out the full party inside of cmBuilder. We have all of our tents and check-in, and again, there's that HP truck that you guys saw. It's a big deal. So here we actually had you guys model that. So we got the truck in there, and we're able to fully get the buy-off from our executive management of what this event is going to look like. And happy to report that it went very, very well. But again, just kind of putting our money where our mouth is, actually using it for logistics is what it's used for. It's not just supposed to be in the project. And with that, that is my complete presentation. Thank you.
I know even with a big giant business like this, there's lots of little tidbits and stories that scale to any size, small, medium, large. Sounds great. Any questions for Kyle? Got one in the back.
I got a quick question about a Ponzi takeoff, one of the projects. You said you procure the material and element based on the model when you do takeoff. Do you actually use the cmBuilder's library, or you have to customize those geometry by yourself, or you do it in the hood?
I mean, truthfully, we do both things. We still have a PDF plan of what this fencing plan is going to be, but then we go make it 3D to actually vet out if it's going to work. So yes, we do use the resources within cmBuilder, but a lot of times there's overlap, or if you're not creating the fence line correctly, you might be introducing some error. So it's like I said, it's a back check for us to go validate per phase what our quantities are. So we still do it, on a PDF plan and take our linear footage from that, but then we make it 3D, we make it much more realistic, and we back check it in cmBuilder. We're at our infancy of doing that. I'd like to see us do it a lot more, but yeah, we definitely use the resources within cmBuilder.
I'll add to that. So just recently, if you go up to share and export resource QTO, for things like lock blocks and physical concrete barriers that you can't in real life overlap, like where you can't, but fences can overlap. Obviously, you can actually set a setting that, I forget what it's called, like probably numbers. Don't overlap. You can set it to don't overlap, and it'll give you the exact count. So if you're not sure about it, you can set that, and then it'll have some gaps actually, depending on what your polyline is, like for how it's, because it's telling you basically you can't overlap those things. Overlap is like, it's more of a visual ref, you can't overlap. But if you want to get a QTO more accurate, you can use that. Any other questions?
Question on the phasing. Are you able to link that schedule information to a P6 schedule?
Yeah, so one of the things we've been doing is exporting is it an XML or XER file out of P6. We link that, and then we update it every month. The beauty of it, and I would love to see this get developed further, and I know that's what the screenshots are out there for. You're able to pick and choose which CPM line items you actually want to incorporate into your schedule, and then as those dates update over time, you just update your XER file.
Thank you.
Last question here.
Kyle, I was curious, you talked a lot about superintendents they traditionally have been pretty underserved with technology, more like consumers of models, not producers. Do you ever see kind of a superintendent, you kind of alluded to a little bit of like them being the producer of this and not having to use another like resource like you or a VDC kind of resource to become the producer?
Yeah, that's one of the things I focused on a tremendous amount of time is building those job site level champions. So I probably have in my pocket 5 or 6 different project superintendents who know it well enough to help sell it to other folks as well. And like I said before, like we have 109 projects in the platform now, so some are way more built out than others, but now we have like proof of concepts where I can actually open something up and say, hey, that's what this team did over in Nevada, why don't we do that over here? I don't know if I'm answering your question entirely, but yeah, we definitely have superintendents who are taking it upon themselves to go produce this. Yeah.
They got Rich DeLacy, he's a legend, right?
He's a-
Godfather
he's a
of BIM for
monster.
supers. He's
Exactly.
arguably the best user I've ever seen.
Yeah.
There was one more question over here. Yeah.
Hey, for something where you're working with multiple scenarios, you've got that master scenario for the hospital project and then the 9 sub-projects. How do you structure the team around that? Are you meeting in with the person who's directing the overall thing and the leads for each of those scenarios? How are you keeping everything sort of in lockstep?
I don't know. Truth be told, maybe I did it wrong. I don't know, to be honest with you. This is a really, really big project, really complicated project, but for me, at least how cmBuilder is developed today, in order to get the most users in there, I didn't want to create one single scenario and then schedule time for people to be in there. It just doesn't work like that. So we kind of use all of those different scenarios to kind of vet out a concept, and then we somewhat replicate it in the main scenario. That's not entirely true. Like a lot of these subsidiary scenarios are way more built out, and then we just bake in the very high level stuff into the big one, if that makes sense. So hopefully in the future we can merge stuff together. But yeah, I don't know if I'm doing it right, but that's how we're doing it.
Okay, great. So thank you very much. One last round of applause for Kyle.